the Friendlyjordies podcast, where today we're going to talk about a lot of things, including the Yemen Civil War.
Yeah.
We're going to play a game, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire with the Boys.
And of course,
Jordan,
the cultural civil war.
And Jordan has an incredible story to tell today, which we will get to after the cricket segment, because it's going to be real quick.
On the pod. No?
We are on the pod.
I thought this was Twitch. We're twitching.
I'm just going to ignore that because I don't think you realize what your job is.
Well,
Twitch.
You probably just learned before this started that it wasn't called Twitch Talk.
I mean,
these Twitch and podcasts are. That's where we do I don't know if I want to explain this. Like, I really don't. I don't think this deserves an explanation.
hi Twitch. I can see you. I know
And
you're watching.
The podcast. We are doing the
I
podcast.
know you're watching.
Yeah, Miss probably thinks that he's on Wide World of Sport at the moment and that it's Sunday. And that you're Ricky Ponting.
Punter. Actually,
Who's Punter?
Ricky Ponting. Ricky
Are
Ponting.
you calling punter?
God, thank you for educating me on this. You know what I will say before this is a precursor? I was noticing that a lot of people in the comments were saying, yeah, I don't particularly like it when you guys talk about horoscopes. Fair enough. But they were also saying that they don't mind it because it's kind of just interesting hearing about it. I swear that's me with sport. It's kind of just like, never going to watch this, but go on. Tell me
So there's a
why Warnie's
controversy.
hair was so blonde.
There's a controversy. So, India and Australia, they're playing a series, and they just won 2 consecutive T20 matches. However,
Wait, can you just slow this down for a second?
yes.
India has a cricket team?
India has the biggest cricket team. They
Biggest.
are
Minimal.
1.5 billion people. I don't know if this is correct, but the Indian cricket team coming here, the television rights that Fox Cricket sold to Indians for was close to around $300 million. That's how much power these guys bring into the
Hold on
sport.
a second.
Bad.
For the
300
entire
million.
season or
For the series, yeah, between India and Australia.
one season?
Yeah, one series, not even a season. One series.
Sorry,
a few
yeah,
matches.
I'm scared.
Television rights, sports rights have gone through the roof. Like,
This is the only thing that rates anymore.
yeah, and also soccer players are being sold for $300-400 million.
The soccer's particularly
Where do you think that money's
crazy.
coming from? TV rights have gone just berserk.
Yeah.
And in
FIFA.
cricket, India is a big fish. So anyway, so they were here, right? And this is the controversy. So I don't know if you remember this because you guys don't follow cricket that much, but around I think 2015 or 2016, an Australian batsman died.
Yeah.
Phil Hughes, who was hit on the head with a bouncer.
It was right here, right? That little tiny exposed.
That's right. So like the most vulnerable part. So he,
freak.
What, that little part at the end of your skull?
Yeah.
just at the back.
'Cause
It's
he
the
went
most
to block.
exposed bit.
Boom. Yeah. It is actually.
Why does that kill you?
Because this is strong. The
Not
neck
so
is
much
soft.
nerves.
Also,
you know?
broke his neck.
It broke his neck, and that's where like your nerves are going to your brain. It's really sad, but yeah, he
brutal.
died.
It
But
is
it's
sad, but I will say this. Probably one of the best deaths of all time.
What are you talking about?
Died doing what he loved. Boom.
Well,
And
it is.
that's one way
It
to
was a
look at
pleasure doing this podcast, everybody. I really appreciate
But there
it.
is,
But like,
I'd
I gotta
rather
say,
die
like, there's
quickly than,
there's
yeah.
much worse ways to go. It was what Caesar
Yeah.
was saying, like just before he was getting assassinated. He was like, "How would you want to die?" And he was saying, "Sudden."
Right.
And I think
yeah.
he's right.
I read another news.
Well, he
story.
loved cricket, I suppose. But
This couple in Queensland
Caesar.
died because their house got burned down. How much more do you want to die with like a cricket ball hitting your head than like slowly dying in a burning house? So
That
it's
was
Yeah.
like my granddad. He was a farmer. He was out on his tractor. His tractor hit a ditch, bumped at the top, gone.
no. Are you
I was
serious?
just like, dude, props.
Was this in
That's a good life.
Was this in Australia? Or is
yeah.
This, I
where do you
mean,
think he's from?
Scotland? I thought he was Scottish. I don't know.
He probably thought he was in Scotland. But
Right.
He was in
You
Australia.
might as well.
He was actually a Croat.
Oh,
He
really?
was on that side.
Damn.
But sorry, I don't know why we just went on to, you know,
it's a
if
quick-
I really want that to happen, honestly, I just want someone from ASIO to come in while I'm asleep.
you kind of do that.
Anyway,
don't you?
I do want that to happen.
So since
Exciting.
on this on the trajectory you're going, you've got a couple of years.
So once Phil Hughes died, they put in these new laws, which are concussion laws. So as soon as anyone gets hit on the head, even slightly, as a rule, a physio would come in, they would do an assessment, and even if you think you're ready to play, they'll often take you off. And so the cricket teams, I'm going to get to the controversy. And so the cricket
it's
teams
all good.
were saying, they were protesting, well, that kind of sucks, because what are we going to do with the extra player? We need 11 players to play for the team, and this is going to put us in a disadvantage. So then they said you could substitute a player. If this happens, you can get another player who can also bat and bowl and field, just like anyone else, which was a concession that they gave to players exclusively for the ones that get concussed. Now, India came here, and an Indian batsman who was hitting the ball out of the park with every ball, he was killing it.
Hitting him for
He
shit.
gets hit on the head, and then normally the procedure goes that someone needs to come out and he needs to go in. He kept playing. He actually ended up hitting a few more sixes after that. He goes into the innings break, and when they're about to come out to bowl, we hear, like as in like the Australian team and like the rest of the world hears, that he has a concussion and he's not going to play. Fair enough. Safety comes first. But what they ended up doing was...
How do you know that you've got a concussion?
Well, the doctors would assess it. I have no idea how you do it. But like
They're just not all there.
They ask you like
Yeah.
really basic questions like, what team are you playing against? And if you
Right.
can't answer it straight away,
Right.
then there's a problem.
Right.
Disorientation. There's a
Yeah.
bunch of tests that they can do.
Yeah.
But he was still hitting sixes. He's fine.
Well, I'm not
wonder-
saying that he was fine. You can still hit sixes and you can be concussed. But the controversy came that once they came back on the field, they got a specialist spinner. So basically, they played an extra batsman, and then when the substitute player came in, the substitute player was a specialist bowler spinner. So our team...
Oh, so the Aussies got their own switch out. Is that
No,
what
no,
you're
no,
saying?
the Aussies got pissed off at this.
Wait a sec. So they brought in their own. So wait, he was just like. So wait, just to clear this up. So India were like, he's concussed. We're sending on an what do you call it? Exchange batsman and a spinner for no reason.
No. So usually the rule is, or it's not a rule, it's an unsaid understanding that if a player gets concussed and you need to bring a substitute, you need to bring someone that has a similar skill set. That would be equivalent to the guy that
Yeah,
you've
but they're
taken off.
facing. They don't. Why would they need a bowler?
India
They're
was
facing.
batting.
They're facing.
India was initially batting. The guy gets concussed.
Yeah.
There's an innings break. Now India needs to come out to bowl.
Oh,
But
okay.
instead of getting a guy that was similar to the guy that got concussed, they got a specialist spinner because they knew they're not batting again.
Yeah.
They're only bowling, so they may as well
So they
get someone.
tactically sent
So-
out.
I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah,
know
so
why
they-
this is such a controversy.
It's not, but like
because it's not cricket. That's why.
So our captain, our coach, got pissed off at that, and we did a little. So the controversy is
Right.
sour grapes or a legitimate protest.
We should all weigh in.
Is it really the gentleman's sport? Surely polo is the gentleman's sport.
Is that even played
And why
anymore?
isn't that televised?
Is that play? I don't.
You know, when we went to Pakistan, Ali's cousin got us into a really ritzy villa that was I was like, I
The
thought
Ibis
that
Hotel.
Pakistan, you couldn't go into India. We were staying in the Taj Mahal, pretty much. It was so elite.
Damn, that's cool.
And I remember being in the lobby waiting, and there was a DVD continuously playing, going, I don't know, welcome to Raj Hotel. Very expensive, very swanky. Look, we have an American food buffet. No pork though, but we do have beef bacon. But the other thing is, if you feel like playing polo, but you don't have enough people to play, that's fine. Please call room service, and we will get our professional polo team to play with you.
What? Why didn't I come on this trip?
Isn't it absurd? It's amazing.
Absurdly
it's
amazing.
19th century England in the 21st
Dude, this,
century.
by the way, this hotel, this was like it wasn't a hotel, it was like a club. It was, you only can go there if you've got membership, and one of my dad's friend had it. So we go into this hotel room. For the first, it's not a hotel room. It was a fucking suite. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
We walk in, and I hadn't seen like a hotel like this before. There was a lounge, and there were multiple, it's like a fucking apartment. It was basically an apartment inside of a hotel.
And Ali's billionaire cousin or whatever comes in and says, like, is the room good enough? I apologize. It is very substandard. It's all they had.
Oh my god! Believe me,
He was
I am.
apologizing for the best room I've ever stayed in by a mile.
Yeah, there were polo grounds.
And he was, dude, this is the other thing. You need to fact this.
Yeah.
He was really sorry. He was so apologetic.
I will be very quick to remind the staff that the hand should not stop. I can do that straight away if you want. I can do it now.
He probably did do that.
That's wild. That's wild.
So now all of you guys who wanted to hear about cricket, you have their opinion on it.
Can I weigh in on it? Can I weigh in?
Pakistan's
Do you actually
funny.
want
I want to weigh in on that.
Okay, let's do it.
Here's my 2 cents. It's virtually impossible / very, very, very hard to be able to determine people's specific skill set especially comparatively when you're substituting players. So I think that in this particular instance, this rule will always be exploited by anyone playing. So I think that it is sour grapes. You should let it be and learn to use the rule. That's the nature of these rules. That the rule is in place for a good reason. You don't want people to die on the field, but it's impossible to police it. It's impossible.
Yeah.
And then you know what will happen? If they try to police it, some will slip through the cracks, some won't. Who's to say someone doesn't start training a pace bowler to be pretty good at spin and not ever spin bowl for the tiny percentage of time when that'll happen? And it's like they got the ace in the hole. Damn, this our pace bowler is an amazing spin bowler, but no one on earth knows this. Has been training to be a spin bowler for like 3 years and quiet.
No, you're right. That's actually... That's what my opinion is.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, 100%. And also, that's like what most cricket experts opinion.
I mean, it's right.
I am a layman when it comes to sport, and that's why I assume that American baseball is exactly the same as cricket.
Exactly the same.
Fun fact, it is derived from cricket.
I didn't know that.
The U.S. used to be... The first ever international cricket match, here's a bit of trivia for you, was played between the United States of America and Canada.
Really?
Yes.
No.
Before the Civil War, cricket was huge in the U.S., sorry, not before the Civil War. Before the Civil War, it was big. But slowly what ended up happening was that there was this like rejecting of English traditions because of the Revolutionary Rights.
So they invented baseball.
So they invented baseball, which is derived from cricket.
I didn't know that. Okay, you being ignorant by like a roundabout way, you were the most right. That's crazy. I'm scared.
What the hell?
Even when it comes to sport. Jesus, that's insane.
Jeez, I have a liar problem, except for like I can't not be correct. I'm sorry, it's just the way that it rolls.
Good,
it's amazing. But
it's interesting. It's interesting because like talking about because
the cricket's on right now.
That's why. Well, don't tune in.
Okay,
listen to us talk about how we assume baseball is the same sport.
Can someone send me the score?
Confirmed. Someone send the score, yeah.
Send this what? But there's this movie called Moneyball.
Yes.
You seen it?
Yes, I have.
It's got to be one of the most interesting films I've ever seen.
Moneyball.
So really, there's this
gives
whole
you this
movement.
Movement.
Well, movement of like really making sport really mathematical.
Yeah, right.
In fact,
so that's what's happening in cricket.
England is pioneering that approach, the Moneyball approach. In fact, recently there's another controversy where the England coach from the dugout would put up these signboards that would say things like 23C. It's a code that no one knows except for them, and the cricket captain would look at it, and whatever they would end up doing with that, right? And
that's very NFL.
So that's something that people are now criticizing a little bit too. Is like, but the whole thing comes from like the same Moneyball theory, like utilize skills. It doesn't matter like how talented, whatever they're good at, based on statistics. It's all just super mathematical the way they do go about it.
But don't you think that's very NFL? NFL is all signed. It's just code. It's literally just war tactics with like guys with those big like protective outfits on. You know, it's just like it's like the Simpsons show. It's like whatever it is. It's like. Throw a bypass ball, unless I touch my belt buckle, not once, not twice, but thrice. If I do this, it's a bye ball. And then when he's like at the thing, he's just like, ding, all this insane stuff, and the ball just hits him in the head. It's a great show. Check it out. Anyway, my point is that's in sport already everywhere.
Yeah.
That's what soccer is.
That was the pioneering of it. He pretty much just noticed that everybody's going for a team of champions and not a champion team, I suppose is the way to put it. And in fact, he wasn't even looking for a champion team. He was looking for a team of losers with very specific quirks. And you know what was an amazing scene that I didn't notice at the time, and then I started thinking about it because it's one of those movies you sit there in the shower and you say, oh, yes, Brad Pitt is a good actor. But
that's what you get out of that movie. He's a good actor, yeah.
No, you know what you actually get out of that movie? The fat guy from Superbad can act.
Can you?
Kind of.
Now I know what movie you're talking about.
Have you seen it?
No, but I thought about seeing it, and I was like, yeah, it looks too heady, so I just skipped it.
It is too heady.
Like,
it's not that heady.
No, it just looks like this is what
it's not heady enough for Ali. It's too heady for me.
This is what I saw when I saw Moneyball. I was like, huh. What was that movie called? I was like, I've already seen The Big Short and Wolf of Wall Street, and I assume this is a mash together of those two.
You're not wrong.
The same vibe.
You're not wrong.
Wait, is it
In
directed
fact,
by
the stakes
same
were
guy?
higher.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I wonder if you are right. Those are very similar movies. I wonder
Yeah.
if they're directed by the same guy.
Well, Scorsese did one.
No, they're
Can you
not.
imagine?
They're not.
I didn't like Wolf
One
of
was
Wall
done
Street
by
that much.
Scorsese, and one was done by the
No, Adam Kay.
non-mafia
I know the
version
Wolf of Wall
Scorsese.
Street. Is
Yeah, I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I thought Wolf of Wall Street was kind of lame. It's like, hello, my name is Jordan Belfort. I'm an overactor, and the only movie that money's good is because we have a lot of money for outlandish set constructions. Sorry, that's not a good story. I stole a lot of money.
Okay,
Nah.
we're
Right,
Cancelled.
you don't need to see Moneyball. It is the same film.
I'm gonna get a lot of hate for that.
Okay, so I agree with you,
Chucky
Mish.
midgets. Whoa.
So Jordan, I've got a question for you.
Well, they
should
improved
we
on it.
should we do the next segment? Do you want to tell your incredible tale, or do you want to play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
No, the
first?
tail's on the pod, not Twitch.
This is pod.
Oh,
We're on the pod.
No, we're on Twitch.
We're on Miss. Just I'll explain to you after the podcast.
Okay.
We've been doing this for a long motherfucking time.
Well, what are we going to talk about when the cameras turn off? That's all I'm going to say.
We're going to keep talking about Moneyball.
But
in the meantime,
do you want to tell the story, or do you want to do the game first?
all right, yeah, let's. Okay, but before we do, again, AUWU, hi, thanks for tuning in. Remember, you clip this, we look into your links to Panthera. I don't think you want that, do you? No, you don't. And you don't want me to keep mentioning it on this pod. So I suggest you stop clipping shit out of context. But if you do, just know this as well. It actually benefits my career. So you're not actually, making my life a misery. I actually sit there and think, mad, awesome. I'm going to get a lot of views out of this. But it unfortunately stops us from doing, you wouldn't be accustomed to this, being the heads of AUWU, but good work. We usually are looking into things like the corruption of John Barilaro or Angus Taylor. So maybe just stop doing it so we can get back to our job and doing things of importance. That's pretty much the actual reason that it is. But if you want to keep clipping it, that's fine because we've got a lot of material on you. Panthera. Now, when we go into this though, so good because as everyone would know, I'm pretty much just a hermit that stays in this digital wall. I am more or less what you assume PewDiePie is. I don't even know if I'm a hologram or not anymore. I am such a simulation that I have to touch myself every now and then even then I'm just like, nah, I'm cutting it open and okay, well my hand's robotic, but this is still human. So, but yeah, I ventured out because I had to go Christmas shopping. I stopped working today, and I've got to say, it's more of a job going Christmas shopping. You'd know what I mean, wouldn't you, if you're a mum? But
This is stupid talking about this on Twitch, but go on.
there's nothing really that's bad about it.
Yeah,
but-
no, it's true.
So anyway, we're just walking around in the mall.
Remember, he's in the cancel group. Unintentionally.
What do you mean?
I'm joking.
Hey, I'm not the one.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything cancel worthy
No.
about this, and I think this
Well, let's
story
find
should
out
be
live.
told because
There's nothing cancel
I don't
worthy
think
about it.
there
It's
is.
just
I think it just shows how idiotic some people are.
no.
Anyways,
Well, it's not even. It's hipsters. This is the thing that we're getting to, right? So we're walking around the mall, and I swear it's just a microcosm of what Jordan Peterson or Sam Harris's life would be. It's people stopping you, saying, "Hey, man, massive fan of your work. Can I get a photo? Massive fan of your work. Can I get a photo? Massive fan of your work. Can I get a photo?" We walk into like that hipster bookstore that I was talking about. You walk in there, and you're just like, "Can you point me in the direction of the store that doesn't have exclusively Kamala Harris books in it? Is that possible?" "Well, there's the Julia Gillard file." "Okay, well, we're getting closer. I'll go there."
and Malcolm, current bestseller.
Quote, it's his favourite bookstore, to give you an idea. But we were walking in there, and even in that place, out of them, 4 out of 5 of the female hipsters there, massive fans. Every single person that I've ever come across that is ethnic, massive fan. We walk out of that bookstore, and Miss is just hanging around there after a while, and then they're all just being like, "Oh my God, that was Friendlyjordies. Man, he does such good work. Good for him. Like, he's killing it. Like, what a great guy." Then, obviously, the chick that is exactly what you would imagine. That classic triggered chick that is just the darling of 2016 internet. That one with the red hair going like, the fat, looks like a pear, paler than like blobfish in the deep ocean.
So that chick from Q&A with Jordan Peterson. There was like
Pretty much. She also works there, and then they're all sitting there going like, that was awesome. That was really cool. I'm really glad that he's doing what he's doing. Then that chick comes in and goes, did you know he's also a massive racist? And then all the other chicks looked at her and then continued talking about the good work that we were doing. Like just completely isolated, moved on. And then Miss and I were just saying, man, it's always the same fucking person, isn't it? It's always a Karen that does not have the life skills to be a Karen, does not have the life skills to start up a small business, is just kind of a failure in life and isn't going anywhere, because the other thing is that you were talking to those other 4 chicks, and the other 4 chicks, where are they? They're doing masters at university. This is their part-time side hustle. I'm down with the net. Her, fine art, clearly. You know, just maybe doing that. Like, just like, I have to stop because of stress. So, also, AUW, Panthera. Now, we'll continue. And so, anyway, so he just walks out and he's just saying, man, if anybody ever comes up to you and just starts screaming racist, what would your response be? And I was just saying, dude, it'd be so easy to counter that. All you do is just Tucker Carlson it. You just sit there and you ask a bunch of condescending questions and they won't have an answer because, again, it's such a broad term that is completely debased at this point. And it's just an internet buzzword accusation, just like in the 50s, how you would accuse someone of being a communist and it'd just be baseless, right? We walk into the pet store, no one's serving us. I go to the front. Wouldn't you know, an exact clone of that woman is at the front at Pet Bar in Bondi Junction. I say, hey, I was just wondering if I could get some fish for that tank. She says, no. And I said, why? She said, because you're a racist. It was amazing. I was just like, okay, welcome back to the Tucker Carlson program. Tonight we have some fuckhead from Pet Barn. Why am I a racist? Asked her the question straight off the bat. Because you hate Aboriginal people. Why do I hate Aboriginal people? Because I saw a 15-second clip that was out of context, and I was just saying that, like, and it was just like, so you got out of that I hate Aboriginal people. Can you go into any depth of that? Of course you can't go into any depth of that. Baseless accusation. So you just sit there, you ask 5 or 6 questions, she's got nothing, she starts shirking back, saying that, like, I saw the 15-second clip, I saw it, I know what I saw. And so I was just saying, like, do you want to know the context of that? No. Oh, okay, so you're happy being ignorant about a subject that you clearly don't know anything about because you're, like, saying things that weren't even said in the clip, right? So she walks away, she's like, I'm not serving him. Are you going to serve him too? Obviously, as you would exactly imagine, some pale cuck male who's got trainee on him, and then he says, no, I'm not going to be serving him because he's a racist. And then some legend who's just some woman that also works there.
Manager or someone.
I don't even know if she was a manager. I think she was just another employee. She just walks up and she was just like, what's going on here? And I was just like, they're not serving me. Oh, and also, sorry, at this point, I said, miss, do you have your camera? And he was saying, no, it's in the car. I was like,
left it.
fuck.
Yeah.
So we're going to go out into the camera and then go back and then just have the conversation recorded because it would just be amazing to put that out. But it was the biggest regret of the day that Mislove was charging his phone. God, that would have been some good content that would have got about 500,000 views. And so so she just walked in and then she said, what do you want? And then she went over to her there and she was just like, sorry, and quote, everyone fucking hates her here. She's a fucking idiot. Like, you know, don't pay any attention to her. I'll have a word to her. That was just shocking, you know? Walks back, gives it to her, and gives it deliberately to the trainee that was like, I'm not serving you. And so I have to get served by that guy where I'm just staring, I'm eyeballing him the entire time, and he's just sitting there sweating with his little pale, clammy hands being like, are you a member? No, I'm not a member. Okay, that'll be $3.95. Thank you. Have a nice day. And then obviously you just sign off with the sincere, like, well, I sincerely hope that you do not have a good day, and then left. Anyway, that's what happened. But I would really like to know who that was, because I swear to God they would have gone on TikTok being like, I destroyed a racist today.
Yeah.
Because, man, This is what I learned walking around in the general public. And the thing was, I was served by Indigenous people today. You know what you learn? The only people that are fuckheads are hipsters. Everyone else in Australia is mad. Everyone else in Australia is reasonable and laid back and like, you know, even if you talk to liberals, we talked to a liberal today that was just like, don't agree, enjoy your work or whatever. Like, most people are just up for a laugh. You see the same people on Reddit, you see them on TikTok. It's the same human being over and over again. It is a friendless loudmouth who no one likes and is always pale. Anyway, that's what I want to get to in the Twitch. Why are they always pale? Can we get to that?
I had a theory about that, but can I just say this? Like, I am so proud of you the way you handled that, because I was thinking if I was in that situation, if someone was like, "You're racist," I would probably just like turn around and leave. And that, but you stood there and you said, "Why do you think I'm racist? What do you think I've said that's racist?" No, at the end of it, she probably thought about it and said, I shouldn't have just like hurled abuses at someone without actually doing some research, because it takes a bit of a stretch to say that Jordan's racist. Like, racism means that you actively participate in making sure that minorities or other races are somehow
discriminated against.
Yeah, repressed. And that's a huge accusation. That's a big thing.
It is, yeah. No,
it's just one of those things that you shouldn't throw around. I had a very similar experience.
This is what I want to get out to. We'll get to that in a sec, but I just want to get to this point. Anyone who uses the accusation racist, homophobic, sexist is a fucking moron. Change my mind. They are the weaponized equivalent of communist in the 50s. It's a baseless word. It's gotten to that point where you just hurl it at anyone and anything, because that is the mainstream media's like go-to attack to like destroy someone's credibility. Just like in the 50s with McCarthyism, how they were saying you're a communist, and then that was the end of your career. Just someone accuses you of a communist, you're gone. That's what they try and do now. But I think that really, I think that just like with McCarthyism or just like with witch hunts, someone basically, I remember how the witch hunt stopped in the 1600s. I remember watching a documentary on it. You know what it was? One time, like, this pastor, like, it just got so insane that they accused a pastor, a Puritan pastor, of being a witch. Which, really? Like, in Boston. How the fuck, if they're to believe their own superstition, how the fuck would that pastor be able to walk into the church without melting? You know, like, it got that ridiculous. And so he just gets up. Really? He's about to be, like, burned at the stake along with, like, some house servants and shit that they pointed it at.
Was this in, like, Boston? Is that where they were happening? Like, East Coast? Boston.
Yeah, Boston was what was it? Salem. Salem witch trial. So it was close to it.
Right.
It's a beautiful town if you ever want to go there.
Right, yeah.
And obviously Halloween's awesome. And let's be honest, it should be more famous for being the basis of about 3/4 of Goosebumps books.
I thought you were going to say Stephen King, but yeah.
And same stuff.
Yeah.
Goosebumps for adults. Stephen King. And they're both awesome.
Hey, now there's a quote I can get behind.
In fact, R.L. Stein and Stephen King are the best fictional authors. Changed my mind. But so so he was saying this is ridiculous. So he got up. He waited until they tied him up. He could have just done this in prison, but just to show everyone how ridiculous this all was, he recited a Bible verse perfectly off his tongue, which again they said that if they are not a witch, this was just in that Malefus Maleficarum book of how to identify witches, they will not be able to repeat an entire Bible verse. And so he did that, and then the politician, obviously, that wanted him dead, because that's all it was just a political movement to scare the shit out of the population to get currying power. Again, the same thing of just ideologies just being bullshit. It's all just about gaining power, and like he just wanted people's land. That's really what the Salem witch trials were about. He just realized he's a sociopath, and he thought I can get cheap land if I just burn the inhabitants at the stake.
Well, it was very targeted. It was most often cases of property. The same sort of principle applies. For example, when I was growing up in Pakistan, we still have our own version of witch hunts, which still persists today. It's just called blasphemy accusations. So most of these people that get accused of blasphemy and end up going to jail,
like religious blasphemy,
religious are just people that have crossed someone else, so there's vested interest. They have properties.
It's a way to whitewash someone.
It's not only just a whitewash someone. It's like a way to send someone to jail very easily. You can take over their properties.
Damn.
There's always like political vested interest in this because
it's like the point.
No one is like fucking. Who wants to like really just do blasphemy anyways into a country like Pakistan? Do you think they're idiots?
Yeah.
So they're just vested interest. Some of the times politicians that have vested interest, for example, they might want their property. They might try to acquire something. They're not giving up. They're like, well, this motherfucker just said shit about Muhammad.
It's almost like the bigger point you made earlier where you were saying, Jordan, where like ideology is just...
It's a mask.
The excuse for... mineral extraction, basically. Like,
yeah. But the thing was that priest,
whatever that, or whatever equivalent you want to use, you know what I mean? Whatever equivalent you
almost always use mineral extraction.
Just oil.
It's pretty much just oil and iron.
Jesus. And like wheat.
Yeah.
Or, land.
But whatever it may be, there's always vested interest.
Of grain.
And same thing happens today with these titles like racism. I agree with you, where a lot of the times these titles are used for people that they want to silence for other vested interests that have nothing to do with racism or ideology.
Sydney Morning Herald, right?
Well, not just Sydney Morning Herald. It's
everyone.
Hit pieces.
If you are going to criticize about the current status quo, this is what I'm saying, man. Like, Jordan, you need to realize this. You're swimming against the tide, and you're going to face a lot of friction all your life. And when you swim against the tide, people throw a lot of abuses at you.
I don't know.
You could be. Do you know why, like, Auntie Donna doesn't fucking get any of this bullshit, even though they say things that I'm not trying to put them down. They're more than entitled, but that was the comparison that was made, right?
Get in the kiln. Sorry.
No, but all I'm saying is
but
they're
it
not
is
swimming
kind of the
against
same
tide.
as like
No one has
in the
an
70s.
incentive.
There was your comics like George Carlin, and then there was your now I've forgotten his name, Johnny Carson's. You know,
but even like, but you have a much tougher gig than these guys because these guys, Johnny, look, they were all people that would say something as long as it was okay for the zeitgeist to say. You are not that. You are gonna, if you keep going in the way you're headed, this is a tough fight. And
there is a tradition of comics doing that.
There is.
Like there was Lenny Bruce, then there was George Carlin. Later on, there was now I can't even remember.
What about
but were they doing it with like really legitimate political interest? You're playing with a different beast over here. What you're doing is like something that Jon Stewart invented, but then Jon Stewart never took it to the level where like he didn't become really antagonistic and say, no, my mission is to bring you down.
He didn't do the barrel
thing was like, look, I'm just saying, like, Democrats are not that stupid and Republicans are stupid, and here's a few jokes about that. He was touching with it. When you expose corruption, you're roughing up there's a lot of people making money off of this shit, and they love making that money. And if you're going to be saying this, you're making their next Christmas worse. So you can expect.
Well, dude, I really do have to say this, that it does happen, obviously, but I will also say that I think that the average person is not actually duped by this. As in, these are the three categories. People either know who I am, they don't know who the fuck I am, and a tiny fraction of pale, friendless, nervous cunts hate me. But like, I thought that was much bigger, but it's just because those people are pale because I've answered my own question, because they spend all time indoors.
Yeah, they never
and
go
they're
out,
like
they're
me.
Lazy.
Yeah.
And that's
but
why
I have
they
a
think,
balcony. That's the difference.
This is what I was telling Miss Love. That chick that was saying that you're racist, the worst thing about it is, in her head, she genuinely believes you're racist because she's been living in whatever her Twitter, YouTube world, and she's cemented those ideas. So she believes that you're racist as much as I don't know, like we believe that gravity exists. She's so fucked in the head that she is putting someone being racist from an out of context 15-second clip as the same level of concrete understanding as like very accepted facts that we now believe in. Or like that we've discovered, things like gravity. So in her head, when you say, I'm not racist, you're saying, it's equal to someone saying like, you're saying that the earth is flat. Because she is so fucking convinced in her head that you're a bad person. And it's all based on the fact that they're too lazy to actually look into it. Look, at the end of the day,
it's very obvious. Well, that was the whole thing. Like, I gave her the opportunity. I was like, look, do you want to know the context surrounding... she was just saying, like, you just said that, like, Aboriginal people have to put up with invasion, or like something like so fucking off the mark of what was said or something. And I said, do you want to actually know what was said? Or are you just going to sit there and wallow in your ignorance? And she was like, I've seen the clip, you know? So she is admitting there that she likes being lazy. So, but this is all I'm saying is these people are bad people that are the absolute target of these attacks. But I like the fact that in this day and age, we have the internet where you can just make your case. And that's why I think that these tools, the general propaganda tools, the general ones that are just so ubiquitous, are not as potent as what they used to be.
Like McCarthyism.
But it was the same thing with McCarthyism, and it was the same thing with this Salem witch trial. Like, it was a Puritan society, so I don't even think laughing was allowed.
Jesus Christ.
Well, I don't know. They're like a really Christian sect of Christianity.
Was that sort of the era of the Witch, that film we watched? Yeah.
And that was based off of Puritans' worst nightmares, which is why it's such a
amazing
horror film.
Amazing film.
But what happened in that moment? And then the politician just said, no, burn him. But the audience was sitting there and they were just talking to each other and muttering. And that guy kind of became the last martyr because he made such a mockery of the witch hunts that it stopped the witch hunts after that. That before, the state politicians were just ignoring what was happening in Salem because they were getting kickbacks and whatever. But then that message came and then they were just like, fuck, these people are really backwards. And then every time they got a legal writ, it's exactly what happens in Pakistan now, right? Like, it goes to the highest court, but back then they just say, yeah, whatever, fuck it, we'll get like a piece of that land or whatever. But then after that, they started looking at every single application of a witch, of someone being accused as a witch, and they all knew it was bullshit because they were like educated men. And so they just silently just saying no.
So that was like
denied,
the straw that
so
broke the camel's
like
back.
it didn't become illegal. It kind of just got mocked into obscurity.
Right.
That is the parallels to the blasphemy thing are just uncanny.
It's the same thing.
It really
is
is?
the same thing.
Exact thing happens over there. So look, most of the judiciary also realizes that these blasphemy accusations are either false
or political.
And a lot of them they're like, even if they did, you don't want to kill someone based on that. But they can't acquit the perpetrator because they're afraid of the public backlash. They're afraid of the public backlash. They're afraid that they're going to get killed by the crowds for letting go someone that had insulted the prophet.
Right.
So they're super scared. So the understanding, the informal understanding amongst judiciary is this is how you deal with blasphemy cases. Once the lower court gets it, they will almost always pass a judgment saying that they should be killed. The accused. It goes to
the
Supreme
Court,
Court,
did you say?
The lowest court.
Oh, and then it goes to the Supreme Court, and it's rejected.
And then the Supreme Court they might reject it, they might uphold it.
Right.
But what you know for 100% is, our Supreme Court is the High Court, so it's confusing. Anyways, the top court, the High Court, their version of the High Court, will always end up acquitting. Because they have the security. Because they're like well-paid judges. Yeah. They have the security. They have the state apparatus to protect them.
And they don't have a hand in the game. They're not like they can objectively say like this is political.
Well, not only can they say it, but even the lowest court judge that convicted them also thinks that, but he's too afraid to do it, and he knows that eventually once it goes into the higher courts, the guy's going to get acquitted.
So it's like the high.
Sad thing
so
is,
are you saying that the mob can't the mob won't go for the high court?
Because the high court judges, Supreme Court, their Supreme Court judges are
wealthy.
They're wealthy. They're well protected. They're esteemed members of society. Not that easy to kill.
Gotcha.
And also they're brave when they do it. Even someone like that. So it's the same exact fucking rule applies. But the sad aspect of it is that even though all of these blasphemy accused end up getting acquitted eventually, they might end up spending 10 years in jail because the process to get there, it's horrible. And it's literally witch hunt. It's just, you're ruining someone's life.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
And okay.
But it's a tool that is used and echoed throughout history. Blasphemy, witch trials, McCarthyism. I swear this is the modern equivalent of it.
Isms.
The modern equivalent of it is like, it's that same thing, accusing them of one of these acts. And it's like what my lawyer says all the time. Like, if someone accuses you of sexual assault, doesn't matter if you did or didn't do it at that point. You're guilty.
Trial by public court. It's by association.
And by public, but like
By
even if she gets into the court and stops and like proves like there's no fucking way this could have happened. They weren't even there or whatever.
Exclusively, do you think?
What do you mean?
Like, do you think there are cases?
Can I just quickly do a disclaimer
there's
about
cases,
that?
but what I'm saying is like it's like
the psychology.
There probably was witches back in Thingo. Like we're just lucky that they were all wiped out.
He believes in horoscopes. Of course, he believes in some genuine witches. But can I quickly?
No, but so there probably was crazies back then that believed in paganism or whatever, which is witch hunting or which is a witch. Like I'm saying, they're probably based off a truth, and then it turns into a hysteria.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
and that's what she's saying has happened to the criminal system for a lot of her clients, where she's, like the evidence is rock solid. It happened to Emma Huzar and Peter Slipper. Like they are members of parliament whose lives have been completely ruined. And why? Because of power. Because Peter Slipper was the deciding vote in the Gillard government and was the speaker, so they wanted him gone. So they just trumped up a bunch of sexual assault allegations. And it's the same thing that happened with Emma Huzar. She had a weak marginal seat that they thought they could take, and they successfully did. And so they got rid of her to mar the Labor brand in that seat.
To a lesser extent, Trad too, with just phony accusations, just completely fabricated and exaggerated situations about corruption. Yeah. Quote unquote corruption.
Can I just do a quick disclaimer on the domestic violence case things? You're right, but here's how it works. So back in the day, whenever a woman would bring a domestic violence accusation, it was based on the evidence. The police would judge whether there is enough ample grounds for this to be admitted, and should they prosecute. That was the traditional way of doing things. And then what ended up happening was some of the women that were genuinely being basically beaten the shit out of, wrong assessment of the police, allowed them to continue in that situation. Now, what happens now is, and this is the thing that a lot of people talk about as the biggest gripe, as soon as there's a domestic violence accusation, the police will not look at the evidence of how, if there's plausible, if it did happen, they're going to definitely prosecute. The other thing that's definitely going to happen is that you're going to get an AVO against you. So there will be, irrespective of how fabricated the accusations might be. On the surface, they might seem really fabricated.
Well, you know what else she was saying? She was saying in a lot of those circumstances, the cops would be going, that were at the scene or whatever, the cops would be going to their constables. I don't want to prosecute this person because it's clearly fucking bullshit. They know it's bullshit, and the constable will be like, yeah, I know it is, but whatever, that's the procedure.
They won't, it's too much of a political issue for them not to pursue this. But really? what ends up happening is that they get an AVO. So the media then says, this man perpetrated domestic violence.
Was accused of.
He is kind of house arrested. They might not get bail because this is a hot issue. But after all of that is settled, once the case ends up going to court, then they don't get they don't find them guilty if the evidence does not add up. In fact, the test for evidence such as that is high.
So the whole thing is just like it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Especially if you've
lost the court of public opinion.
If you're a public figure, probably more, right? If specifically.
No, I think it's the other way around. I think I'm actually in a really lucky position because it always makes me realize that I can just go onto a podcast, tens of thousands of people will hear it, me just saying like this crazy chick in Pet Barn did this, but there was also, I want to say this as well, I think Pet Barn is a good organisation. They're the only one that started supporting the Animal Rescue Collective during the bushfires. I think in general, they're great people. But obviously, like everyone, there's cunts everywhere, right? I can sit there and plead my case.
True.
But man,
that's a good point.
If you are not a public figure, if you can't get up on camera and say to an audience, this isn't true because of X, Y, Z, you're fucked. You're
fucked.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way.
And even if you're not big enough to get into the papers, because it could be prominent lawyers, it could be doctors, it could be politicians, all of these people's careers done.
Yeah,
as soon as that accusation is done, gone. And it happens all the time. I know this. Happens all the time in political parties. People would say, like, the accusation's bullshit. They'll say, we know. What do you want us to do? They're gone. And then, all of your friends apparate. People that were solidly backing you before, instantly gone. It's like everybody shuns you. I know, because I've talked to some of these politicians who have been accused of this shit in the past, and I'm not going to say who, but proven in court not to have done it. Dude, they're broken people.
Like Emma Husar, sorry, she got. Sorry, I followed her case. Do you know she was absolved of all charges?
Really?
No one knows that. They still think that she's some deviant character.
Yeah, they still think that she is.
And that was absolved of all charges.
And that was
same with Peter Slipper.
That was the lady with the marginal seat you were saying. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
can't get a job. But I think it'd be even worse if you aren't a public figure.
Because you don't have a platform.
Because
you don't have a platform.
Well, you can't even defend yourself in the articles and say this is fabricated, even though that's not going to do anything, because the whole thing was alleged. They said they didn't do it. Alleged.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the whole game of how it works, obviously, as I pointed out in Friendlyjordies. How do you feel a problem like Friendlyjordies?
Yeah.
I think it would be even worse if you are not prominent enough to even be in the press. I think that would be the worst position to be in. Because just your friends and family, and she says it all the time, friends and family, rock solid one day, they get that accusation, they get marred and dirty, everyone abandons them.
I've seen it happen to a guy in front of my eyes. This exact thing. So look, I don't know the facts of this whole thing, but this guy, when I met him, he's 19 years old, right? He's a kid. I'm 25 or something. This kid, he has all these friends, and he's this little happening kid, and he's going to parties, and that one time he comes to me and he tells me that this girl accused him of sexual harassment 2 to 3 years ago. So probably when he was 15 and she was around the same age. Look, I don't know what the facts of that are. And he told me that none of that happened. In fact, I don't even remember because I've never actually slept with the girl. And he was saying that maybe I was hitting on her, but I never got frisky or anything. This is coming from him. But what I see as a consequence, irrespective of if he had done it or not, all of his friends, these really, really close people, gone. This kid, irrespective of if he done it, again, I don't know, has serious mental health issues, breaks down. Everyone is abandoned. Everyone has abandoned him. The only person that still is taking care of him is his mom. Completely crashes 2 years of his life. By the way, this kid, really smart, is one of the toppers at his law school. He was at UTS Law. Leaves everything. 1 year later, I meet him now. He goes back to law school. He's killing it. He wants to be a diplomat. He's super focused now. But he was telling me how that entire thing, it killed my self-confidence. And again, according to him, for something that he hadn't done.
Yeah. I really think that this is it's like a really, really insidious weapon.
Yeah, to use that as a tactic against someone is
But I know that this happens because I talk to people in politics all the time.
Oh, dude, wouldn't surprise me.
And everyone's scared shit. Men, women, all of them. Terrified of the M word in South Park, That thing exists. It's a deliberate tool, just like in the witch hunts and things like that. Obviously, we've got to say again, yes, it does happen, but this is the other thing that you'll notice about it as well, because there will be much more credible claims of it, and there'll be celebrities that everyone likes, and they're all in the little bubble circle, and they'll get protected in the press. The press will give them nice little write-ups saying that, no, it's obviously not credible, that's bullshit. That's the way they'll write it. If you're against the press's interests, they'll do a Foley on you. It'll just be accusation after accusation, just with the word alleged in the front, then just everything, allegedly, he's a serial killer and this is how he killed the bodies, and allegedly. We said allegedly so we can say whatever we want now.
Power plays. Hey, it's just power plays. It's just sort of like chess.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's just
it's
the
tactic.
people, yes, exactly. The people that use this, it's like the AUWU, how you guys going?
Ding.
They will use that as a tool It's got nothing to do with them actually like caring about this issue. It's the same thing with the witch trials. It's that they wanted something out of this. These people do exist. That's the main point.
And the victims also exist. There's no denying that. But
it's all in the details.
It's not even about the details. It's like, look, no one is denying that a lot of horrible stuff happens, including domestic violence, sexism, or like the example that I gave, serious sexual harassment, which is not okay. But it doesn't happen every time. And not in all cases is the guy completely guilty. But the accusation is a fucking atomic bomb. It just
for either sex, right?
Well, this is the thing. It's not just men.
Yeah,
it happened to Huza.
Yeah, it can happen to anyone.
This happens.
Huza.
My female lawyer was saying the same thing. 'Cause she's always running against the grain of the legal system. They've done the same thing to her character. They've tried to do this to her in the past. She's a very good defense attorney, and she has like a rock solid client base, but you read any press release about her, or any article about her post her being on Beauty and the Beast, it's savage, just absolute viciousness, to the point that anybody I say, like, this person's my lawyer, and then they look it up, they're just like, how could you speak with this monster? And it's just like, dude, she is fucking fighting the good fight. Yeah, that's why she's getting this in the press, because she is actually out there being like, you fucking judges are corrupt. So they're just like, bam, character assassination.
Yeah.
This is another thing that I'm going to be getting to when I do my video in response to like some other accusations in the ABC about just, I don't know, Friendlyjordies supports genocides and stuff like that. I will be saying this, that people are always saying, and I want to see people's responses in the comments to this, because I want to see if this flows on and this is tight. People always say, well, here in Australia, you can say whatever you like. You know, tell that to fucking Julian Assange.
Tell that to me. There's so many things that I can't say anymore because it's not because of me. Like, I have a lot of opinions on like this trade war right now, but I'm completely keeping it shut. And honestly, it's not because of what the impact of that is on me, because I don't care. I believe in these things, and I'll take whatever.
If you go against
you, I'm afraid that I'm gonna fucking put you in some situation.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be, because I am
in this country. I am afraid to.
If you go against the narrative,
they're not crazy opinions.
Yeah.
They're just like, we need to strike a balance.
They're diplomat opinions.
Basically, but I'm afraid. I'm genuinely afraid of
it. It is changing. It's like, I feel like even in the 90s, for instance, if there was a situation, let's say we had the exact same situation with China now, you know, whether it's, take that how you will, what's going on with China now in the 90s, I feel like, and I could be wrong here, but I feel like the dialogue could be a lot more rigorous and kind of even let's say dramatic on each side. Do you know what I mean? Like, there could be more rigorous discussion on either side of the approach. Call it left or right or progressive or conservative. It seems as if, and I don't know why, but it seems as if that's not the case now. It's like, it's strange. There's probably a million reasons. It's probably very calculated. Who knows? But it's strange. You should be able to, you know.
I know.
Freedom of speech allows you to say whatever you want.
I would, even because I really don't care what happens to me. I'm okay for my convictions. Look, at the end of the day, dude, I'm on Jordan's podcast. And I don't want to like fucking put him in some situation. So
Ali, you shouldn't be scared about this, because we've said everything. Our views are very open about China's. Sure. And I'm glad, because you know what it does? Like with all of the things, and this is something that people are always saying, like, why are you saying stupid shit on the pod? I think just let the chips fall where they may, because most of the time on this podcast, sometimes I'll word things badly or whatever, but we're right about them. We're just going against a propaganda model. And so people just go, I can't believe you said that. And then you're just like, here's the facts. And they say, oh, okay. So it brings out the lies that you're constantly being fed. This is what's happening with you talking about what's happening with China. Dude.
No.
Things that Ali has said.
I'm always here to be like, they eat dogs. That's screwed up. Don't worry. There's a reason I'm in the middle, eh? Yeah. I like Yumcha, but I don't like eating dogs.
And the Hannity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, dude, don't censor. Like, don't stress.
I'm glad that you are saying these things, because it's forced me to come out and say, look at what happens when you point out facts about, and this is the thing that I will be honing over and over again. So ASPI, who also watches this, you can clip this out of context and you should be fucking scared. This is one of the most evil...
an organization like that.
Dude,
no one else.
An organization that China is afraid of. They're saying, do you know how like they've explicitly they've banned ASPI?
Yeah.
China has banned ASPI
from
their country. ASPI is an illegal organization in China.
As it should be.
And
this is the
and
whole thing.
they've been like I'm not going to get into this.
What I'm just going to say about them, because I'm going to be getting into this in detail in an upcoming video that's going to be like the Friendlyjordies cancel, how to solve a problem like Friendlyjordies video. But I'll just briefly say, you look into ASPI, the things that the Chinese are saying about ASPI are the same things that Michael West and Marcus Rubinstein, who are some of the best journalists in the country, are saying about ASPI. And the thing is, it reminds me of that Winston Churchill quote that, at the end of the day, truth will remain. Some will try to deride it, some will mock it. But in the end, there it is.
Or the Bill Clinton one. You can fool some people some of the time.
No, that's Abe. That's not Bill Clinton.
No, is it not? I thought that was Bill Clinton.
As if Bill came out with that one.
No, but I think that he's wrong. I think that you can fool most of the people all of the time.
No,
if nobody's
can you fool
there
all the people all the time?
You can't fool all the people all the time, but you can fool enough people to get elected.
Definitely, you can get
but... yeah, it's like this is just what the things that China are saying about ASPI are the same things that Michael West and Marcus Rubinstein are saying about it, and it shows you just how debauched and corrupt our media system is, that they will not let those views be aired. But it's fucking terrifying because ASPI is pretty much the IPA of foreign policy. It is the most influential think tank when it comes to foreign policy in Australia. It pretty much just calls the shots when it comes to foreign policy in this country. And they're glorified weapons salesmen. I don't think that that is the best people to be in charge of our foreign policy. People that are trying to constantly maneuver Australia to being ripped off in a bunch of... The submarines is a perfect example. Tony Abbott was looking at the subs and saying, okay, these ones from Germany are like 10 billion, we'll go with those. And then ASPI came in and said, no, you're getting the French ones. And then Malcolm Turnbull comes in and says, yeah, okay, we'll get that. They were 8 times the price and they weren't built. The other ones, we would have just had the subs.
Terrible
We've got the 10 billion
deal.
ones, we would have had the subs now.
Terrible deal.
Terrible deal. But this is what they're doing because they're weapons salesmen. Even if you want to get more hawkish with China, you don't want people sitting there that are fucking essentially guys that work at cash converters going, you want my advice? I think you should go with this.
What about the argument that the
it's
Chinese
the same
government...
thing as like if you... Sorry.
What about the other argument that the Chinese government plays the same role as ASPI, just on a huge scale?
Doing what?
Like, they have a military. They have... obviously, I'm not saying that...
Here's the thing. They don't have weapons manufacturers advising them on how their military should be built. They have
companies.
Generals and strategists
They
and
probably
diplomats.
have their own versions of vested interest think tanks. But
Do you think? I don't think they do.
I'm sure they do. There's these kind of actors play a role in every political society.
I think it's just that constant thing of people are always saying, oh my God, China's becoming a real threat really fast. Yeah, because they can get shit done because they don't have a bunch of these like neoliberal leeches just sitting there sucking all of the fucking resources out of the country. And like they've just got one direction, just being like, boom, we need more aircraft carriers, we'll build them. Instead of them just going like, no, get these 80s helicopters.
Well, look, I'm glad we talked about this, and you're going to go into detail in an upcoming video. And so we'll move on from this topic.
Sorry, we will move on to this topic, but what I'm saying is that...
Well, sure. I mean, I'm just curious. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just curious, to be honest. I'm just listening. Like, I'm just curious about it. Because it's like a nuanced issue, surely.
It's a secret issue, and that's what really scares me. It's that just like all the time. I just want to get to this. I want to. This is actually what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Whenever the Liberal Party is in power, the worst possible people are in charge.
Sure, I'm not going
in everything: foreign policy, the environment, schools.
But you agree?
One last addition I can't resist.
What?
The Liberal Party or the current government or your cabinet, when they say something to you about their opinion on China, it might be slightly different to their opinion backdoors. While Scott
Dome
Morrison,
Kang says Jordan's worldview, CIA responsible for anything bad. Pretty much.
But can I just say this, like in terms of the nuance, can we at least agree that I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just but like it doesn't maybe this is a bullshit point, but it seems to me it doesn't simplify the issue that China is, somewhat secretive and blasé with facts and figures, generally speaking. So it doesn't simplify. Like we have to debate whether they have things. We don't know.
Every power is.
Every power is.
Of course they are.
But you know what I will say?
I'm not saying they're not.
You know what I will say about their news system? This is the point that I was getting to. Look, you think that your news... I've got all these epic quotes that I was just thinking about a lot, but you know that quote from... Okay, I'll quote that for a second, but you think because you are told by your news system that this is the most honest news system on earth and this is a democracy.
Yeah.
And everybody gets to say whatever they like to say, forgetting the fact that if you say anything against the Liberal government, where are you going to go? ABC, that's run by the Liberals. 9 Fairfax, I wonder what Costello will think. I think he'll give you a good hearing out, won't he? Rupert Murdoch, even better. He's going to give you a good hearing. If you say anything that is counter the narrative, it's that tree falls in a wood argument. If it falls in the forest, does anyone hear it? And does it matter? And I honestly think when I'm looking at the Chinese and Australian propaganda model, this is the difference. In the Chinese propaganda model, they think that one tree falling in the woods does matter and they'll clamp that down. And in Australia, they're just more lazy and they think it doesn't fucking matter.
And just as like, Miss Love, you know how you were saying that China botches up figures? I'm sure that's correct. And I remember after COVID, there was a lot of, particularly Americans have this opinion that China was hiding their figures, right? You hear that often.
Yeah.
And at that point, I said that maybe they are, but they couldn't be. Here's another fact. For all those that were saying China is like a horrible country, I'm sure they're horrible, but like that they're hiding their figures. China, according to ABC, is projected to grow in 2021 by 9.2%. That is an incredible figure. I know it might not sound crazy to you.
No, it is
Most
crazy.
developed countries
It is
grow
crazy,
at
yeah.
around 1.5 to 2%.
But
Yes,
this
that's
is the argument that
3%.
you always hear. The
That is
counter
crazy.
argument to that is always because they're developed nations, so it's a slower growth rate. But here's the thing. They've been saying that about China for the last 30 years. It's still growing.
It's growing. It's grown. China, like that theory is now gone. And these guys, I don't know, dude, whatever the fuck they're doing, they're turbocharged. This is a monster that you're going to have to deal with for the foreseeable future. So just be wary of who we pick fights with. An
And you know what else I'll
organization,
say?
sorry, just like an organization, a country that's growing at 9.2% with a 1.3 billion population, with by the way, one of the greatest coronavirus strategies. Maybe it's wrong, but I feel like you wouldn't be able to achieve it you wouldn't be able to achieve 9.2 if you were hiding those figures. While you have another power that we are backing that is still fighting over whether masks are effective or not.
There's a broader
See,
question here,
there's a
though.
big difference.
There's a broader question here because when you start to come into that sort of argument, then you start to go into the axis of power, the global order of power. Like, I think the bigger question that the fear in the West is like, it might be irrational, but if America falls, it's too big a risk. I'm not saying that that's necessarily true.
And that is a genuine concern.
That's what it is. People are looking at it being like, these are huge global shifts in like control and power. This is like, are we going to let the cat out of the bag and then it won't be able to get back in?
But
and I know that's like oversimplistic.
But Miss, here's the problem.
I think that's...
We are a country of 24 million people. Unfortunately, we don't get to call those shots.
No. Of course we don't.
You know what actually like wise people always say to me behind the scenes when I talk to them about this, and they're just like, I'm always saying the anti-China hysteria in the media is insane, and they say, I agree. But you wait until China becomes a superpower, and you will see that media will shift over and become anti-American hysteria.
Really?
Absolutely.
No.
It really just
That would
depends
be
on where the
equally
power
fucked
fulcrum
up, though.
Yeah, that would
Yes,
be
it's equally fucked up, but
Other
that's what
side
I'm
of the
saying.
coin.
It's just
Yeah.
like the reason that you hate China is because you thought you came to that conclusion. You didn't. It is because of the environment that you're in.
But do you think there's a valid argument to the point of, let's not pretend like we know what the fuck's going to happen here if America falls by the wayside and like Mother China becomes uncontestable?
I can say you can obviously have guesses because of the historical track record, and then people always just go into this crystal ball reading thing that China's just going to be terrible. You just don't know that yet. But the thing is, those people don't know that either.
Sure.
But also, how do you think, Miss Love, so in this world, this nightmare scenario, which I don't necessarily, I know, and I want to explore that because it's a genuine thing. So let's say the U.S. collapses and we've got China as the only superpower. That's a scary prospect even for me. However, how do you think U.S. is likely to collapse? Do you think it's by allowing China and making sure that everyone gets the same, or they collapse internally by having a fight with them?
Absolutely, dude.
Or maybe China collapses after having a fight.
No, look.
So do you think if we keep fighting them and that fight goes through and there is a World War III, I think that nightmare scenario, I hope it doesn't happen, but like I'm saying that nightmare scenario of US going completely down and we're left at the mercy of this massive China monster is more likely if we have an antagonistic approach, as opposed to if we have...
I totally agreed. I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
Paul Keating and Kevin Rudd are saying. They're saying, look, if you want to remain a superpower US,
let's give some concessions.
Breathing room.
Some concessions.
You can't control
basically
these
the
places
entire
anymore.
fight is China is saying we get to call shots in Asia Pacific, and the US is saying, we'll see about that.
You know what else?
That's the fight.
Obama's book, apparently. I was just hearing from the gatekeeper because he's reading it at the moment, and he's just saying, "Fuck, Obama's just Malcolm Turnbull."
He's not the very loyal rat anymore. He's got the gatekeeper.
Well, either or, rat boy, gatekeeper. It's the same dude. Spoiler alert. And I'm a fan of both of those nicknames. Me too.
I like them both.
But yeah, he's reading it at the moment, and pretty much all he does every day is just ring me up and bitch about that book for an hour. Which again, just like hearing about sports, very happy to hear that. And he's just saying, if you want to hate Obama, you read his book.
Really?
It just melts away the entire image that he has, and he pretty much just sits there and is just like, reason I didn't do anything is because I thought it'd upset people, and I don't like being around people who are upset. So I just sat back. Joe Biden, on the other hand, was really annoying because he'd constantly be pushing me for me to do something. So I'm kind of hopeful about Joe Biden after reading that, because apparently he was always like a dove when it came to other countries, because he was pissed off that the CIA tricked him into going into Iraq. And so every time the CIA or the Pentagon was in the Oval White House, Joe Biden would storm in and be like, "What's going on here, Jack? What are you doing in here? Hey, get out of here, fat." And then like Obama would just be like, "Oh, please, everybody settle down. I don't like conflict."
Yeah.
The other thing that was in Obama's book about Joe Biden being a dove, in fact, this is the reason, he said that this is the reason why he released the book after the elections, because he didn't want Joe Biden to be affected by it. During the Osama bin Laden assassination, or like the plan, the covert operation, Joe Biden was against it. Joe Biden was saying that you can't just send a whole helicopter to a sovereign country. This can be potentially disastrous.
Fair point, really.
And Obama's opinion was, yes, but I'll take that risk. Which he was entitled to do it. The only difference was they assumed that the Pakistanis would get pretty crazy, but now we know in Obama's book, in fact, when he called the president of Pakistan and said Obama was assuming that he's going to get angry and we're going to have some confrontation that will eventually be settled, but this is going to get bad. When he told the president of Pakistan that...
Hang on, guys, sorry, can I just hear this? Have we tuned out? Can somebody just respond for a second and say if we're live?
Why? What's wrong?
I'm just reading a couple of comments just saying that the feed stopped or something.
Just comment.
Oh,
you are live. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, shut up and listen.
Try.
Anyway, so basically Joe Biden was like a bit of a dove on it. The president of Pakistan, to Obama and everyone else's surprise, said, look, whatever the public reaction to this would be, and it could be bad in my country because you have just come into my country, you violated our sovereignty, and this could be bad, but I want to say this off the record. What happened today was a good thing for the world, and I'm glad that Osama bin Laden's dead. This is not only good for your country, this is also good for my country. And Obama was shell-shocked. He was like, fuck, that's not a reaction that I expected. His counterpart called the army chief of Pakistan, delivered the same news. We had a covert operation. We've just confirmed the assassination of Osama bin Laden. And the army chief's response was, we're taking over the scene. And he puts the phone down.
What do you mean we're taking over the scene?
We're taking over the scene, the actual scene. Because
why?
Because the army, and I can imagine, because from another perspective, the foreign minister apparently was in the room with the army chief when this news was delivered to him. And the foreign minister said that I looked at the army chief and it seemed like the floor beneath his feet had just gone away.
Why?
Because what he thought was, fuck, how am I going to cover this situation? My countrymen would feel very violated by it. My army would feel very embarrassed by it, that a foreign power came in,
without
assassinated, without informing us or taking us on board. How am I going to manage that situation? So his first reaction was, I'm just taking over the scene so I can minimize the damage as much as possible. And the president was saying like how it was a good thing. But the point was that Joe Biden was against the operation. Joe Biden did not think that you could just... He wasn't against killing Osama bin Laden. He was saying you need to take Pakistan on board. Obama made the call of like, it's too risky. It's too big of a target to do it.
Pretty much just that should be the title of Obama's book. Obama's first term, too risky.
What about Obamacare though?
Obamacare, you know what's amazing about Obamacare? This is what Ratboy was pointing out, and he's so fucking right. In fact, I was just like saying to him, he was just saying, can I write a script on this? I'm going to do some research into it, because people are always asking me, what's the difference between American and Australian politics? I'll tell you what the fucking difference is.
It's just going to be controversial.
The most extreme... It's just fact.
Yeah.
The most extreme policies of Howard, how much I decry them, are like way more mild than Obama's.
Right.
It just depends about the political context that you're in.
Yeah.
So, for instance, when it comes to healthcare, this is what Howard did. I've done videos about this in the past. To fuck over Medicare, he says, okay, well, I'm just going to give tax rebates to people that get private healthcare to prop up the private health insurance industry. Cunty thing to do, I think we can all agree. Kind of spooks people into thinking, fuck, I need to get healthcare.
Unnecessary too,
Unnecessary healthcare. You know what Obamacare's is? You have to get healthcare. And you have to get it from a fucking private organisation.
Yeah.
Which they
Now, you can say that that's better than the healthcare system that they had before, and I will agree with that. But how much more extreme is that than even what Howard did?
That's a good point. I never thought about it.
Because it's a scary system.
You know what's
and
interesting?
you know what else? This is another interesting thing, because I was just listening to because I'm just very interested in China at the moment, and I was listening to this official talking about what would Obama and Trump be in China. And he was saying Obama would be like a fringe lunatic like Ron Paul in the CCP. Like, he'd be tolerated, and they'd sit there and they'd just be like, oh, yeah, that's Obama's crazy stories again, and they'd just get on with business, right? And then they were saying, what about Trump? And they'd say, there's no way he'd be there. And they're like, why? Is he too right-wing? And you know what? And it fucking exemplified everything to me between the two separates. He said, no, because he's never done anything for anyone in his life. In China...
Why are you looking at me?
Well, I mean, because it's a good fucking point.
It's a good point, isn't it? Like... Isn't it? It says everything you need to know about those two different systems.
Hey, build the wall.
Yeah, that was for us.
China did too. Just saying.
Yeah, true. Dude. Yeah, true. They built that wall.
But to say Trump
the difference
didn't
is
do
they actually built
Mongolia was paying for it.
I mean, but to say Trump did nothing for anyone, like he instituted policies.
Before that, before
government.
He hadn't done anything for public service.
So in China,
how can anyone
public
give you the top
service.
job when you have
Public
done nothing
service.
for people?
Well, that was his appeal, right? He's a businessman. He's going to make money.
well, in China, they were saying that if you want to be the lowliest official, as in like a neighborhood captain, which is actually a nice little system that I didn't realize that they have, which is that there is kind of, I guess, a justice of the peace on every block. Just some delegate that you can go to and say the garbage hasn't been picked up or something, and they're just like, this is unacceptable. And they're just like, but they'll go talk, right? They have those. So there's like always someone that you can talk to. Whereas we just have like the fucking strata manager guy that you walk into and he's just like, fuck off, pay your
But
fee.
surely there's some conflation between making money in private business and public and a public office.
Christ, no.
Well, they both involve like doing things.
This is the whole thing.
There's
Everything
a
that
fucking
Trump did
relationship.
is just about enriching himself.
Right,
Everything
true.
that, like, if you want to get a position in, like, the lowest position of the CCP in China,
Yeah.
you have to have done something. You have to have gone
But dude,
to
Bernie
the
Sanders
fields
made a fucking-
and worked on, like, a government-run farm or something.
Sure, but like
to,
Bernie Sanders had a wage.
What?
Like it's not just like charity. Like
Huh?
Bernie Sanders had an income, the same as someone who has a private company has an income. Like I understand the distinction, but there's a similarity as well, right?
No, well, Bernie Sanders, for a profession, this is how he gets paid. First of all, he gets paid a lot less
Yes, he
than
does,
his
yeah.
private counterparts.
All I'm saying is-
secondly,
yeah.
he has spent his entire life serving the public. And to Obama's credit, he has too. I mean, not his
But do you
entire
see the
life,
difference
some of
between
his life, yeah.
Obama and...
But do you
others?
think there's
to Obama's credit, yes, he was a community organizer, which is the kind of thing that China would be looking at if they wanted to get someone into the CCP. But
And in China, that's an encouraged thing. In
it's
the
not
US,
even encouraged; it's mandatory.
It was something that Obama was told why he shouldn't be the president for. He was said, "How can you be a president when you were a community organizer?"
But
he had a really good point on it. It's like, what do you mean? What kind of people
is
do
a
you want in
community.
politics? Like,
Yeah.
like you think that's a bad thing that you've been serving people?
See, the thing is,
It's
the
such a
thing is for me,
bizarre-
like Trump on paper initially, I was like, yeah, this is a crazy idea. This is a crazy idea, but it could work. It's like an experiment. It's like a guy. I'm not talking about his character. Let's just not even Trump. Let's just say a businessman that made a lot of money. Irrelevant if he was corrupt or whatever. In theory, a businessman that's made a lot of money. Let's say the guy from fucking Jeff Bezos or Zuckerberg. Even though I think the character of those people are pretty fucked. Let's say a businessman that had integrity, whatever. I thought it was an interesting experiment, the idea of being like a guy that is a successful businessman to take that ethos and just put it and jump into public office and apply a similar like those principles of like it's just the whole conservative talking point thing, like the whole thing of just like not running in a deficit. You know what I mean? Like I thought it was a good idea, but the Trump experiment failed miserably. I'm curious if you guys think it's even possible. If do you think there'd be a possibility? Because I get what you're saying with the China thing. Do you think there could be a possibility that a person that is like essentially a businessman could translate those ideas from private to like being a successful
I think
public
it's like
office?
Neil deGrasse Tyson's point, which is that once you're a hammer, you see everything as a nail.
So you
And
don't
that's
think
his
that?
point
Do you
about
think so?
there shouldn't be.
I just don't believe in that. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just don't believe in the theory that you're putting out. I'm well aware of it. It's a very
I'm not saying I believe it, I'm
a
just
very
curious.
liberal way of looking at leadership. I just don't think that's an accurate way of
It's not
looking
the real.
at it.
That's what I'm
Because,
asking. Yeah.
What you want, so a private enterprise. So look, the argument is this: that in the private sector, it's a lot more competitive.
It's a lot more
Your
competitive.
skills are way more refined. You understand how to do deals.
You have to be more
and you
economical.
can bring those skills into the public office,
Yes.
which needs them. So I understand that point of
Yes,
view.
yeah.
I think this is a flawed point of view,
Right.
because, first of all, most leaders that are in positions of power, it's not that they don't have the skills, because they have a lot of advisors that are giving them really good information. They would have advisors that are arguing from one point of view, and then you have another advisor that's arguing from a completely different point of view. So it's not that they lack the intellectual capital. What you need in that position for a leader is to be able to make that decision based on what would be best for public service.
You don't think it's transferable though?
I don't think it's that transferable, because you can hire those people. If you think that those business acumen or that particular like investment banking skills that you have are really good, you don't need that guy in the top position. Who you need in top position is that someone who has proven
Deal with people.
Who has proven that his motivations in life are not self-serving. His motivations in life are to serve others. And you demonstrate that not by what you say, but what you do. What have you done in your life? Have you just made money for yourself and for your shareholders? Or have you sacrificed some of that money in order to help your society? Were you a community organizer?
Yeah.
Or were you a lawyer for an investment bank? Are you a Malcolm Turnbull? Or, for that matter, are you a Tony Abbott?
But surely there are some ethical,
two different kinds of individuals. I would much prefer a stupid Tony Abbott than a smart Malcolm
Well, you concede to this. Can you concede this? There are public officials that are terrible and misspend money and are lazy and do shit all. And there are also corporatists that aren't lawyers and bankers. They're like ethical.
I'm sure they are, but how do I know? What have you done to prove this? Don't tell me what you think. Show me what you've done.
Because Trump, I think Trump was a failure because if you really look at it, he is self-interested. He is superficial. He is,
and like what he did as a presidency, he's a swindler.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not even making a value judgment on that because he is a sick swindler.
Yeah.
He's a really, really good salesman.
But
that's what he is, and that's how he. But that's still how he's running today. And like you see all these marketing moves where he's just saying, instead of going to the inauguration, I'm launching my campaign for 2024.
Yeah, I get it. I just think it's naive to say. Cool, I just think it's naive to say that there couldn't be like a Ron Paul figure that could actually do a good job in government. That's all I'm saying. I think that
Ron Paul has done so much for public service as well.
That's a good point.
Ron Paul has been dude. What has Trump done?
That's true.
Except
I agree.
For come up with that birthing controversy.
I agree with you. No, I agree with you.
Ron Paul is
amazing at coming up with marketing points, and that's what he had. I'm telling you, it's just whatever you are trained in life, that's how you're going to see life. Because the human brain can only pick up so many things. Which is Neil deGrasse Tyson's point that there's too many lawyers.
Agreed.
In all Western politics.
I agree with you.
But see, he was saying there should be more scientists in politics because what do scientists do? They look at evidence.
Yes.
And then they make a judgment based on evidence.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What do lawyers do? They don't give a fuck about the evidence. They think, how can we make this evidence fit my case? Their entire point is about arguing a case. Now, I find it really impressive that lawyers can do that. I think watching a sick barrister tear someone apart is mad.
Yeah.
But it's not a good way to govern a country,
right? So rather the question doesn't become if you've spent your life in private enterprise or public office. The question is what have you been? Are you a scientist or are you a banker? Something more along those lines.
It's not like specifically. I agree with Tyson's point. Like there should be more scientists, but for any organization, if you went to Commonwealth Bank today, their hiring managers would tell you that the best way to improve efficiency of your company is have a diverse bunch of people. So if you're a banker, you just don't want people that have studied finance. You want people that have studied biology.
That's a good point.
Because what that biology major is going to bring is something that the finance wouldn't.
Totally.
So for any organization...
So it's really about the cabinet.
Yeah, but again, let's just point this out.
It's the cabinet.
Not this bullshit ABC, SBS diversity.
Quotas.
Diversity of mind.
Yeah. Sorry, that's what he meant. Diversity of... Yeah, absolutely. Well, I suppose we
and maybe you can have a couple of, you can have a few private individuals too.
Yeah,
I'm just not a big fan of private sector people coming into politics and then pretending to be really righteous because I don't see that in your lifestyle.
What have you done?
You've just made money for yourself.
But there are public servants that are leeches as well. They just suck up funds.
Scott Morrison is a perfect example of that. But
no, he was in marketing. He was in public service.
But in the bureaucracy, bureaucratic marketing, what a great combo.
He was working for a private company,
didn't
he? Oh, no, he did work for a government market. Yeah, it was.
Heaps.
Yeah. Well, that's a perfect example, right? Because people on the right in America try to paint Bernie Sanders as this like lazy, like fun-sucking, dude that just sort of like constantly whinges and just hasn't done anything, which I don't think is accurate. But like, all I'm saying is like, the Scott Morrison is probably a better example of someone that actually just leeches funds.
But dude, it's like what he was saying about the last 3 Liberal prime ministers. Out of all of them, if I had the choice, I would prefer if Tony Abbott was still in power.
Because at least he has the conviction.
At least he had some conviction in life.
Yeah.
Like, what's Scott Morrison's? He's just a shit Trump. He's just a shit, uncharismatic Trump that's a crap salesman and was not good at being a salesman anyway, but people...
Yeah.
It still works. There's still the techniques still work. Malcolm Turnbull, merchant banker. Wow. What a great human being he is. Tony Abbott, trained to be a monk. Tony Abbott does a lot of community service. He is a fiery. He used to go out to indigenous cultures all the time and help them out with building shit. He used to do these things. He has public service drilled into him. I stand by what I said in the bushfires video. He earned the right to lead. I do not think that Malcolm Turnbull and I do not think that Scott Morrison have. Everything about their entire life is self-serving.
Tony Abbott's policies were probably Look, if you look at my my outlook on how the world should be, I'd probably be much closer to Malcolm Turnbull than I would be to Tony Abbott. But I would still prefer a person like Tony Abbott as my leader. I can give him respect because I know he truly believes in what he's saying. He's not just saying it. Like, it might be something that I don't agree with, but that guy believes in it.
And you know what?
I want someone that genuinely believes in something and also has cares for society to be my leader. I might not like your policies, but I am more than willing to accept you as my.
And you know what's a good point as well that I've just realized talking about it, which is your point really. You don't necessarily go into public service to make a ton of money. You just don't do that.
There's other ways to do it.
There's going to be way worse people in specific private industry, probably the majority, like banking, like all these sort of, I'm not saying they all are, but like there's going to be more people there that are self-serving than in community.
Just
right?
This will freak out Orchard. I'm paying attention. But keep going.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, so you're right. Like, I don't think someone's going to be like, I'm going to make a ton in like the Chicago Community Center for Welfare. Like, there's some people that might try to rip it off, but like, there's bad people in every industry. And if you look at numbers, there's definitely way more worse people in Wall Street than like St. Vincent de Paul.
Don't you think? Man, I'm telling you, look.
So I'll give you that.
It's true. It's definitely
I'll give
true.
you that.
I remember this. I remember because I had a meeting. I remember the early days back when Pedestrian used to like me. I remember walking into Pedestrian's office and feeling like I needed a shower straight afterwards. The entire ethos was about making as much fucking money as possible, and it was obvious when you were in there. Straight after that, I had a meeting with, I think, from memory, the Nurses Union. And I was just talking to them about what was happening to healthcare. They're all good people. We saw them the other day, just like having lunch.
They were very nice.
They're all friendly, considerate people.
Yeah. Yes, I'll pay that.
Like, think about that. The people,
transparent too.
The people whose entire life is thinking about how to stick up for the greatest people in society. Is there anyone better than nurses? Maybe fireys. Like, it's up there.
I'll pay that.
One of those two.
Yeah, for sure.
Every nurse you ever meet is a legend.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're sitting there thinking about how to stick up for those people all day versus walking into Pedestrian where they're sitting there thinking about how to sell the Commonwealth Bank and look lit at the same time.
Can I have a question on that? Can I just ask something?
What?
If you guys were to make an argument, this is just for my own, this is a personal question. If you were to make an argument, or you were asked to make an argument, because in that respect to what he just said, capitalism equals bad, essentially. That's kind of, you could generalize, you could say that. How would you guys argue to somebody saying like, no, capitalism's good. Here's the best example of a capitalism. Would you say Scandinavia? Like, high regulation, try not to be that greedy, you fuck. Be good to the environment.
Look, I will say that Scandinavia, I hate these terms. I hate them so much. But if you're going to say it, the term that is always used by the economist or when you go to uni and you study in economics, they always use the phrase cuddly capitalism.
Right. I'm just curious because
Norway's system, I think everyone will agree or want it to be, they'll all say that is the best system on earth. And I think that this is actually where it gets into play, and and I'm always saying that you can scale out these programs. You can scale out these programs, but the problem with scaling out these programs is getting everyone to fucking agree on it, which is easy when you have 4 million people. You know, it's a lot easier to get a Labor government elected in fucking Queensland than it is federally.
It's like the downside of democracy, right? It's like it's slow and lumbering, and it might change, and then it'll change back real quick.
This is my whole thing. I honestly believe this, and I've been talking about it recently, but I swear democracy is a scam. I swear it doesn't exist.
All right, and on that note, it's time.
If you want to know why, join the podcast.
No, actually,
Extra saucy.
We need to do a quick advert. Okay,
do that.
So here's the thing. Look at me. So we are looking for a very particular type of person to join the Friendlyjordies podcast team.
Pretty much the exact opposite of podcast man.
We're not saying that. That's speaking for himself.
It's a different job. So we're not looking necessarily for an editor or a community manager, but we would what we're looking for the podcast at the moment is a good producer. Someone that is engaged with the zeitgeist of the moment, knows what's happening, what our audience is into at the moment. Not just what they're into, but also understands what society is into.
So, if you worked at Pedestrian,
Yeah, I was going to say, if you worked at Pedestrian or
how much
BuzzFeed,
should we be saying lit?
Yeah.
Is lit still lit?
But there's that. But also what you should be able to do is provide us with clear segments that you think might work. So basically, a producer. And the way you do this is, we don't care like what uni you went to, what medal you got for your bake sale. What we need is, if you're writing a maximum 500 word paper that tells us, first of all, a little bit about you, what motivates you in life, and secondly, how you can contribute to the podcast. If you want to do it through writing 500 words, that's fine. If you want to do a slideshow, we don't care. Just don't make it too long, because we're going to have to go through a lot of these.
And we did learn from experience that it's probably not the best hiring strategy in the future moving forward to just someone being like, can I have a job? And be like, I don't see why not. So we do need to do this. Sorry. I'm sure you're a very nice person if we reject you. And you probably will be.
So the way you send us an email on podcast@friendlyjordies.com. If you're interested in this, if you think you would be able to contribute, again, preferred is some sort of experience in radio or anything, but it's not essential. Like, if you're good at, if you think you can do this, then send us an email, podcast@friendlyjordies.com. Again, maximum 500 word if you're sending us another slideshow, whatever works for you. And just focus not on your credentials, focus on how you can contribute to the podcast. And a little bit about yourself.
I think a more accurate term than producer would be view slut. We want somebody who knows exactly what's happening and what's going to get clicks, so we can just seep in more propaganda to the public.
Like
really,
someone sort of like apolitical.
No. There's no.
You know what?
There's no wrong opinion.
There's no wrong opinion, but I think the right opinion would be if you say, "I think that you should have that little green box," and your face going in every clip like Joe Rogan does.
Yeah.
I think that's how it works.
I'm sifting through the application, so
just be a surfy.
There's no political opinion that we're looking for. You can be literally whatever, even if it's something completely against in what we believe in. We're not interested in what you believe in.
Come on,
what we're interested in is how much you can contribute to us, and you just don't hate us as people. If you like us as people, that would also be preferred. So if you're interested,
that is definitely not essential.
If you're interested, podcast@gmail.com. We would be, we're looking forward to your applications.
Estrogen-filled people would apply here.
There's one already.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Come on.
But also,
we don't
it
need
would
another
be
one
nice
of you
if you were a
two.
little more decisive.
We don't need it. Okay, I'm not perfect, but we don't need another one of you two or another one of the gatekeeper just being like, we're gonna just like let's set a fire in the office, but it's an office. We'll get kicked out. Just do it.
Yeah, let's be honest.
Need that.
Hiring the gatekeeper was pretty much just hiring Alex Jones.
Yeah.
And there's room for that too. But anyways, thank you for joining
with
us.
ADD need not apply. Anyway, go on.
Thank you for joining us tonight for this podcast.
Thank you. That was an expose, wasn't
If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. If you like the podcast, consider becoming a patron on Patreon.
It helps a lot.
It certainly helps us.
If you want to
and
hire a veterinarian, I'm your guy. Yes, I am interested.
Send in whatever you can. And for those of you that are our patrons, we'll see you for the Upload podcast. Unfortunately, we couldn't play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire today.
Next
but
time.
we'll do that next week. So thank you, and we'll see you next week.
You do realize that game exists, right? Just so you know.